Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're a fan of scary stories, you've come to the right place. On this channel you'll find stories that are true, some are fictional, but as long as they send a chill down your spine and make the hair at the back of your neck stand up. A fair warning though, some stories contain graphic, violent or sexual content, so viewer discretion is advised. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Uncle Jack's Red Room by Redditor Vile Pachura. It was a regular Monday when I got the text from Uncle Jack asking me to call him. Jack owns a bar in Geneva, so I figured one of his workers had called off last minute. Because we are a tight family and I live the closest, I assumed I was going to be asked to fill in. Normally this wouldn't bother me, but I already had plans lined up for the week. In my college days, I would have jumped to call him back. Working nights at the bar was good money, and even better opportunity to meet girls. I was now in a committed relationship and sometimes happy. I also didn't need the extra money. I opened the text to clear the notification and left it at that. If asked about it later, I would say I didn't see it, but I really just hoped he would forget. I work remotely as a copywriter. Because of this, I have the freedom to break my weeks up so the heavy work is done Monday through Wednesday. Thursday is just proofreading and submitting my work. This leaves me a long weekend to drink and hang out with my girlfriend, Alice. It is a great routine that I have going. I got into this career because I don't like heavy obligations and lack of control. With most of the work I had planned for today done, I grabbed a beer from the fridge and settled in front of the TV. I lived in a small but comfortable apartment, a typical bedroom, kitchen, living room set up on the third floor. I checked the time on my phone and saw it was 4:45. Alice would be getting done with her shift at the hospital soon. Alice works as a nurse. The typical routine is for her to leave the hospital, run to her place, shower, change, and then head over here. I say typical because her shifts run late fairly often. That she hadn't texted meant there was no change to the schedule. As I was checking the time, I noticed a missed call from my mom. Not thinking much about it, I clicked her name on the screen and put the phone up to my ear. "Hey Elliot, how was your day?" she asked. "It's going well. I got my work done and am relaxing until Alice gets here. How are you doing?" "Things are going well over here. I had a long chat with your sister. Her and Gil have a camping trip planned this weekend." Gil is my sister's long-term boyfriend, who, to the family's annoyance, hasn't proposed yet. "Hey, by the way, Jack called me earlier today when I was at work. I missed his call, but he left a message wanting me to tell you to call him. He actually texted me earlier. I assumed it was to pick up a shift at the bar. It's wild that he would call you and not me," I said. "It's because you never answer your phone. You are 26 years old and you still need your mother as a middleman. Call him back, will you? I don't need him blowing up my phone trying to contact you." Okay. I will call him now before Alice gets here. Talk to you later, alright? Tell Alice I say hi, would you? Talk later." We hung up the phone and I begrudgingly opened up my contact list. I really wasn't looking forward to hearing all about how he needs me to fill in. I clicked Uncle Jack's number and put the phone to my ear. "Hey, Elliot," he answered. "Hi, Uncle Jack. Sorry I wasn't able to call you earlier. I just saw your text." I lied. "That's no problem. I'm assuming you thought I was calling about something related to the Drink Hive. Drink Hive is the name of my uncle's bar. But I was actually wondering if you would be able to house sit my dog, Alfie, Friday through Monday. Aunt Mary and I are leaving for Fort Lauderdale tomorrow. Up to Thursday we have a neighbor boy looking over him, but he goes to his father's house on weekends. Since you work remotely, I thought I would ask." I had spent quite a bit of time at Mary and Jack's house growing up. I think that just comes along with having a family that lives close by. I never knew how much money Drink Hive pulled in, but apparently it was enough. Uncle Jack had a remote 4-bedroom house with everything you could want. Hot tub, pool, and foosball tables, and a 5-seater bar loaded with hard liquor. Since the house was so remote, you could throw a party there and no neighbors would complain. I thought about it for a second before answering. I actually have plans with Alice to go up to her parents' house this Saturday. This is a complete lie. Alice's parents live in town. I just wanted to make it sound far away, so Jack would give me some incentive to do this. "I guess I could call it off, but I really don't get to see them as much as she likes," I said. "How about this? I'll load the fridge and pantry and buy you beer. You won't need to buy dinner. Plus you and Alice can enjoy the hot tub. I normally wouldn't ask you to spend the night, but we have terrible weather this weekend, and Alfie hates thunder." I heard his offer, but I still wanted more. "I'll tell you what, if you load the house with beer and hook me and my friends up with free drinks at Drink Hive, I will cancel on Alice's parents. You got it, Jack said. I will text you the garage code on Thursday. What kind of beer do you want? A few cases of Modelo would do the trick. I can't watch Alfie if I'm dehydrated. Thanks, Elliot. Tell Alice I say hi. I will talk to you later. Bye. I hung up the phone just as Alice walked into my apartment. Hey babe, thank God work wasn't swamped. Today was bad enough. She walked over and sat down next to me on the couch. I kissed her on the temple, put my arm around her. I have to watch Uncle Jack's house this weekend. He has this dog, Alfie, that hates thunder. He is going to stock the house up with food and beer. He also has a hot tub. As I said the words hot tub, I slowly moved my hand down and grabbed her breast. My God, Alice was beautiful. 5'2", straight red hair, as smart as a whip. I don't know how a dork like me got so lucky. Alice slapped my hand away in a playful manner and mocked surprise. I have the night shift Friday. I'm guessing it will be busy. And isn't it supposed to be a lightning storm? She said with an overdramatic frown. The whole deck has a canopy over it. Plus, it would be nice to watch the storm while sitting in the hot water. There are no neighbors around either. I said this, reaching for her tits again. This time she didn't stop me. I rolled over with her on top of me. Her hair smelled so good. As I held her, Alice moved her mouth near my ear and whispered, I have a new bathing suit that you haven't seen yet. Don't bother. You won't need it. The rest of the work week passed as usual. I spent Thursday editing my work and getting a jump on next week's assignments. If I was going to be camping out at Uncle Jack's house, I wanted to treat it like a vacation. Everyone hates the work they will have to catch up on once they get back. I was about to call Alice before her shift when I got a text from Uncle Jack. The garage code is 84562. I have everything you asked for at the house. If you can, would you arrive by noon and give Alfie his breakfast? If not, no later than 2. I texted back. Thanks, I will be there tomorrow at noon, and hit send. Nothing eventful happened the rest of the day. I called Alice before her shift and she came over after work. We went to bed early and got breakfast in the morning. You sure you are going to be okay in the house loaded with beer? Alice asked. What else am I going to do? I'll see if old Jack cares if I get some movies charged to his account, I said. You'll just have to look forward to Saturday, and don't you dare watch porn on your uncle's TV, Alice said, half joking. After breakfast, I kissed Alice goodbye and told her I would call her later. It was already drizzling and I headed over to Uncle Jack's house. The weather was going to be at its worst tonight and tomorrow morning. I pulled up at the house, entered the garage code, and pulled my car into one of the 3 garage bays. Uncle Jack only had one car, which he drove to the airport with Aunt Mary. The rest of the garage was open except for his 2 motorcycles in the furthest bay. Upon entering the house, I immediately noticed 2 cases of Modelo on the ground. Not satisfied, I opened the refrigerator to find 1 row lined with beer. That's more like it. I grabbed a beer and wondered if Uncle Jack thinks I'm an alcoholic. As I closed the refrigerator door, I noticed Alfie staring at me from the end of the laundry room hall. After Alfie was fed, I spent a few hours shooting pool, playing Jack's drums, drinking beer, and walking through the house. When it got dark out, I decided to look through Uncle Jack's movie collection. If he didn't have anything to watch, I most definitely was going to rent something. Luckily for Jack, I found a Blu-ray of World War Z. As I walked into the movie room, there was a huge bang of thunder. Alfie started howling and rain violently pelted the windows. This was the perfect setting to watch an action horror flick. Alfie came darting into the room and immediately jumped on one of the recliners. Good boy, I said as I turned everything on and opened the Blu-ray player. I was well into the movie when a sudden burst of thunder exploded and the whole house went black. I was annoyed by this because I was at the point in World War Z where Brad Pitt's family was going to get kicked off the aircraft carrier. I turned on my phone flashlight and shined it around the room. I could tell that Alfie was under the blanket on the other couch because of its perpetual shaking. With my light, I made my way into the basement to where I presumed the cable box would be. In my mind, I thought about how cliché it would be if something happened. I walked into the storage room in the back of the basement. With a sweep of the light, I found the cable box. I opened it up, turned all the switches off, waited 5 seconds, then turned everything on. To my delight, that's all it took for the lights in the house to turn back on. I was about to close the cable box door when I noticed a small sticky note on the bottom. It read, "Go to backyard shed for hot tub and deck electrical. Would a power outage shut down the heaters for the hot tub?" I was planning to use it with Alice tomorrow, so I figured I should check. I went back upstairs, put on my shoes, told Alfie he was a good boy, and grabbed an umbrella from the laundry room closet. The rain was torrential, and the shed was all the way in the back of the yard. As soon as I stepped outside, the umbrella immediately thrashed in my hand. Forgetting it, I closed and dropped it, jogging to the shed. I was almost at the door when I realized that it might be locked. To my delight, the handle turned and I pushed it open. I had never been inside of Uncle Jack's shed, but it had always been here. It was well kept on the inside and out. Summer games, yard chairs and lawn equipment lined the room. I scanned the walls for a circuit box and saw that there was another door in the back of the shed. "That doesn't make any sense," I said under my breath. The shed wasn't big enough for another room. I didn't find the power box, so I assumed the door was an electrical closet. I tried the handle, but to my annoyance it was locked. There was a very unusual lock attached to the door. The lock looked like it took a key with 3 pegs. I was about to call Uncle Jack and tell him about the possible power outage, but my phone read 12:42 a.m. I figured he was probably asleep in Fort Lauderdale. No use in bothering him. I just need to find the shed key. It's most likely in one of the kitchen drawers. Back in the house, I took off my soaked shoes and put the umbrella I had dropped back into the closet. I began my search, looking through the kitchen and laundry room cabinets for a shed key. I figured it would be close to the back deck entrance, but I couldn't for the life of me find it. My search expanded from the 2 rooms to the entire house. After checking every other drawer and cabinet in the house, it became obvious to me that it had to be in one of the 2 rooms I hadn't checked. Jack and Mary's room, or Jack's upstairs study. I didn't want to go in either of those rooms, because it felt like an invasion. I hesitated, but the thought of having sex with Alice was enough to convince me. I figured that I would check Uncle Jack's study first. This was always off limits when I visited as a child, so stepping in the room gave me a surreal feeling. I looked at the multiple bookshelves lining the walls. Small knickknacks rested on the giant desk in the center of the room. I walked around it and sat in the comfortable leather chair that faced the door. I wouldn't mind bringing my laptop in here and working in the comfort of Uncle Jack's study. Remembering what I was here for, I started opening his desk drawers. In the second of the 3 desk drawers, there was an envelope that had the words "safety box" on it. Inside the envelope was a small key that looked like it was for a microscopic lock. I thought about it for a second and realized this was the key to the fireproof box that probably had all of Jack and Mary's private documents. My parents had one as well, and it was always under the bed. Without thinking about invasion of privacy, I was about to commit. I entered the master bedroom and crouched underneath the bed. Unfortunately, when turning on my flashlight, I was met with a load of crap. Everything from gift wrapping paper, cardboard boxes, and fallen pillows littered the underside of the bed. If I was going to find the specific lockbox I was looking for, I was going to have to drag all of this crap out. I really did feel like giving up, but the idea of making out with Alice in the hot tub as the rain fell around us pushed me forward. Plus, I already invaded my uncle's privacy enough. Why give up now? I fell into a cycle of pulling out crap and looking underneath the bed with my light. On the 4th attempt, I noticed a small all-white box wedged against the wall at the head of the bed. Reaching under and grabbing it, I knew that I had found what I was looking for. As I sat on the trashed floor of Uncle Jack's bedroom, I popped the key from the desk into the lock and opened it. Inside the box were folded up documents, a handgun, a few mags of ammunition, and finally a wild-looking key that had 3 prongs sticking out from the sides. I didn't bother cleaning everything up. As soon as I had the key, I ran downstairs to the back deck doorway. After getting my shoes on, I made my way across the yard to the pitch-black shed. With my phone light guiding me, I walked to the locked door that made no logistical sense being there. I popped in the key and started spinning it around. After fidgeting with the lock for a few moments, I heard an internal click and the door opened outwards. I shined the light inside and was met with a completely empty room resembling a closet. The room only had space for a single person, and even then they wouldn't be able to stretch out their arms. What even is this room? I looked around at the walls to see if there was a fuse box, but there was nothing. I took a step into the small empty space. As my foot landed inside, I heard a muffled, almost hollowed sound. I stepped out and shined my phone light on the ground. The floor was wooden, opposed to the concrete floor in the rest of the shed. I got down on my hands and knees and started knocking. The floor was definitely hollow. I felt around and noticed that on the far left side of the floor there was a small pull tab. I awkwardly leaned over from the doorway and pulled up. The floor popped out of place, revealing a dark hole with a ladder. After sliding the door panel out of the way, I stared down into the hole for a few minutes. Several thoughts went through my mind, the most rational being that Uncle Jack had built a bomb shelter underneath the shed. I don't know why he hadn't told anyone in our family. It is weird that he would have built something like this and not mention it. I lowered myself on the ladder, balancing my phone flashlight as I went. The descent was less than 10 feet. As I stepped off the ladder, I felt softness underneath me. I shined my light and realized I was standing in a carpeted hallway, which opened up into a large concrete room. This is what I assumed was the bomb shelter, but there was no supplies or rations. I began to get the feeling that I had walked into something that I wasn't supposed to. At first glance, it looked like a room with tools. There were table saws, meat hooks, drills, and other miscellaneous construction tools. It wasn't until I shined my light at the wall and a light shone back at me that I started to understand. The entire wall and ceiling on the right-hand side of the room was a mirror. In view of these mirrors was what looked like a dentist chair. There were straps and chains that would keep anyone who was sitting in it completely immobile. Lining the other walls were similar racks of tools, knives, flick open shaving razors, and bondage equipment. It was after doing a 360 of the room that I noticed something I hadn't initially. Right by the doorway that I walked in, there was a desk with multiple monitors and camera equipment. Leaning up against the desk was a tripod with a professional-looking camera on it. On the floor next to the desk, DVD cases stacked up to the waist level. I lifted up the first DVD and saw that it had a date on it. The one under it did as well. The DVD I was holding was dated approximately 2 weeks ago. I either didn't grasp what I was looking at or I was in shock, because without fully realizing what I was doing, I started walking down the carpet halfway to the ladder. I was still holding the most recent DVD as I made my way out of the shed. From there I crossed the yard into the house, through the kitchen and straight into the movie room. I turned everything on, inserted the disc and watched as the scene before me came into frame. In the center of the screen was my uncle. He was wearing a balaclava, but from his voice and body shape I could tell that it was him. Strapped to the dentist chair was a completely naked man. The man was gagged with duct tape and had a horrified look in his eyes. "All right, ladies and gentlemen," my uncle said, looking at the camera. "Tonight we have something very special. As was requested by user 462, we will now begin insertion of the catheter." Just as Uncle Jack finished saying this, 2 other men who I didn't recognize walked into shot. The taller of the 2 men produced a syringe from his pocket and stuck it into the man's penis. The man struggled against his restraints as he tried screaming. Almost immediately, the man's penis was erect. "We just injected Mikey here with a strong dose of Viagra," Uncle Jack said. "And if he keeps struggling, we're going to take another fan request." Mikey at this point passed out. I'm not sure if it was from Jack's reference or something in the Viagra injection. The shorter of the 2 henchmen started inserting a catheter into the man's erect penis. Except this wasn't hospital grade. This catheter looked like it had a small metal disc on the end. Once it was inserted, Uncle Jack produced some smelling salts from the table out of sight. Immediately the man woke up and started struggling again. With apathy in his eyes, he stared down at his genital area. "Now, ladies and gentlemen, with a push of this button, the metal at the end of the catheter will start rotating really fast. Now, Mikey, user 462 paid good money for this. Let's give him the show he deserves." Jack pushed the button and immediately Mikey started screaming. A small drill-like sound could be heard coming from inside Mikey's body. Right at the climax of Mikey's screams, Jack grabbed the external end of the catheter and ripped it out of Mikey's body. Amongst the screams and laughs as blood sprayed on screen, I ran to the bathroom, opened up the toilet, and immediately started throwing up. Tears began welling in my eyes as I replayed what I had just seen on TV. My Uncle Jack was filming himself torturing people. Why was he doing this? Who was he doing it for? What did user 462 pay my uncle to do something like this? As I laid on the bathroom floor, I heard the garage door start opening. Alfie immediately started barking and a cold chill went up my back. Who was here at the house? I quietly made my way upstairs as I heard the door that led from the garage to the laundry room open. I crept into the master bedroom as I heard a loud bang downstairs. Alfie was still barking and footsteps could be heard. I locked the master bedroom and grabbed the gun from the lockbox. I was about to start moving things to block the door when the power in the house cut out again. I instinctively reached for my cell phone, but I found my pockets empty. I must have left it in the movie room as I ran to go puke. A knock came from the other side of the bedroom door. "Hey Elliot, I'm your uncle's neighbor, George. I live right down the street. Jack called me and asked me to check up on you. Do you mind coming out and talking to me?" Why would Jack ask someone to check on me? "Listen Elliot, I don't know why you are locked in the bedroom. Is everything alright? I need you to leave before I call the police. I don't know who you are and I'm not expecting anyone." There was no response for a few seconds and my hand tightened on the grip of the pistol. The voice started as a whisper and crescendoed into a shout. "Listen, you little shit! I know you don't have your phone. Let me in!" The door started shaking as the man pounded on the door. Something came over me. My heart was racing and I had no idea what was going on. In the darkness, I raised the gun up. The man was now kicking or throwing his shoulder into the door. I fired 3 shots. The first shot hit the wall, but the flash from the barrel doused the room in light. I corrected my shot and hit the door with the second 2. The house fell into silent darkness. The police arrived at 2:32 a.m. The man who had attempted to break the door down was found dead outside the master bedroom. On his person, he had a syringe full of fentanyl, a roll of duct tape, and a switchblade. The whole house and shed were littered with police. I was taken to the police station to give a statement. Aunt Mary would claim she didn't know anything about what Jack was doing. She committed suicide before Jack's court date. Jack himself was given life in prison. He refused to give the name of the third person seen in the video. A few months after the whole ordeal, I started getting calls from a blocked number. I have no idea what any of it means, but I thought it would be worth sharing. The investigator later shared that the locked door in the back of the shed had a motion detector on it. As soon as I opened the door, my uncle got the notification. I have been in therapy since this all happened. My doctor diagnosed me with an anxiety disorder, and I have been prescribed Lexapro and Clonopin. I still have nightmares from the small bit of footage I did see. It is fair to say that my life has been turned upside down by the whole ordeal. I had never heard of the phrase Red Room before all of this. After a bit of research, I now understand that's what Jack was doing. I share this with all of you because Uncle Jack was a loved man. He was known and liked by most people. Everyone who came into his bar had nice things to say about him. You never really know someone as well as you think you do. Some of the nicest people you know may have the darkest secrets. My Uncle Jack was running a Red Room, and the third person who helped him is still out there.